my 6 books I can't read. I need the computer to read the books to me. So, because I can see a message, you read a message, but I can't use longer passages to feel the context, to understand what this is about.
Welcome, y'all. It's my favorite podcaster, Donna D, and the Urbanmommy podcast. Make sure y'all subscribe and share. Tell a friend and hit that bell to keep up with the latest updates, because you don't want to miss what my girl got to say. I'm just saying. The Urbanmommy podcast. Let's go.
Okay. All right. Welcome, everybody. This is your girl, Donna D, a.k.a. the Urbanmommy, and I am back with another podcast. Happy New Year again to everyone. Welcome to 2024. It's 2023 to us, but it's going to be 2024 to you when you are listening. And I am joined today by Mr. Michael, and we are going to have a very interesting discussion today because Michael has some great things that he has basically discovered just living on Earth. He's overcome a lot, and he is going to discuss it today. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you, Donna, for giving me a canvas to paint. I like it.
Of course. Well, you go ahead and get started.
Okay, so I was born, just really shortly where I come from. I was born in Vienna, Austria, and I was a sick child. I went to school when I was 7. I totally screwed up. I couldn't understand the school. They were all laughing at me. I stuttered, and I had 8 years of school, which 2 of them I repeated, because system says, hey, you have to be strong and push it, and don't be lazy. Yeah. And you know how it is when you're 10 years old with 8-year-olds, how that feels. And so, so I found through art, I was lucky because I was good with human. I learned how to be with humans, not just being system relevant, being the best, football player or the smartest kid in class. I couldn't do that. I was sick. I wasn't good athletically. Plus, I wasn't good with my mind. So I learned how to be with humans, and I always loved art. I loved music, and I was a DJ. So art helped me always. It helped me, right? The art always supported me. First of all, to accept myself, because as an adolescent, how you feel, you want to kill yourself or whatever. And then you see a movie or hear a song, and all of a sudden, I want to know how many human lives art saves. It's amazing, right? So I became a DJ. I sold tapes off my trunk. I produced fashion shows. I worked in television. I worked in advertising, and I found at 30, I did a resume, and I found, you know what, I can't even be anything else, because I couldn't be an accountant or a mathematician or a businessman. I said the only thing that actually supports me, my feedback of life, is the arts. So no matter what people say, I don't need to be accepted by society as an artist, but I am an artist. And I think that was pivotal. I did this when I was 30, because it opened me up that I just said, hey, this is what I can't be somebody else. You tell me what I could be, and I couldn't. And I became Arts Commissioner of Newport Beach. I worked with Robert Evans, who did The Godfather and things. So I lived in his house, and I worked with him. I met all these superstars, and I wanted always to be that, always wanted to be system relevant, being with the superstars and everything. And then I found out I don't want to do this, even though I was good with them, but there was nothing different. I'd rather talk to you than with them, because we know everything about Jack Nicholson and all the other stuff. We know that. So I didn't learn anything there, except that Evans was a real good friend of mine. And, we had a personal relationship, but it wasn't everything about, oh, we got to do this and get the Oscar. And no, none of that. And I found tremendous. In my last book, I segregated because I was so upset because only 1 or 2% make money in the arts worldwide. Everybody is poor, which is the same thing as you see. I mean, Snoop Dogg just, announced everywhere live. He said it, not I. He did 1 billion downloads and he got $42,000 for 1 billion downloads. You know how many people, how to get eyeballs. It's just harder than any, because everybody's producing stuff. He got 1 billion, he got 42,000. And it's art isn't paid. It is only the few, and even the few successful like Snoop don't get paid because it's everybody else gets paid, but we don't get paid. So I wanted to figure that out, and I found that it's not about the product. It's about the power that you make when you make art. You find yourself, you get self-esteem, because I shouldn't have any self-esteem. I shouldn't have any self-worth, but because I created so much, I said, you cannot tell me I'm good or not, because I had an idea and I created something, and you can't take that away. They can say, Donna, you made the worst podcast or the best podcast. They can't take away you did it. And mostly the people that say, Donna, your podcast is good or bad, are those people that don't do their own podcast, because anybody that podcasts doesn't diss somebody else that podcasts. So it's the doing, it's the making that teaches you about yourself, about your abilities. When you thought, oh my God, I can never do a podcast, and now you're doing them, right? It just gives you confidence. And that literally made me really focus in on human centricity versus system relevance. So that's the beginning. You ask me whatever you want.
Okay. So I know I read that you had dyslexia and dysgraphia as a kid.
I still
So
have it.
you still right, you still
I'm
have
not
it. Sorry.
kidding.
So but you also wrote 6 books.
Yeah. The reason is
You
I can
wrote
write
6 books even with that going on. So
Yeah.
how
Typing. If I write my hand, the dysgraphia doesn't make me can be able to read my writing. So the keyboard, and also my 6 books I can't read. I need the computer to read the books to me. So because I can see a message, you read a message, but I can't use longer passages to feel the context, to understand what this is about. So what I do still, I write. So when I write, and I have the computer read the paragraph that I just wrote, and then I have to go back and do it again and again till I think, okay, it's okay. And that's the way how it works, and it makes me also very clear on things, so I can dive into something deep, which I couldn't do before because you have to read books and stuff. And now I'm writing my books, and in that, like you making podcasts, right? I couldn't do podcasts. I can be a guest on podcast, and I have a podcast that's 30 seconds. I just have one quote and one question because I couldn't do it. So I have to always, be creative and use the systems that whatever we have, and do a 30-second podcast, just me, not with a guest or anything. And that's how.
So why can't you do the podcast?
Because I can't. It takes me so much time. Every neurodiverse person with dyslexia and dysgraphia, especially, it takes them forever to comprehend. It takes them forever, and they forget. So every time I'm doing like 10 episodes, I have to. I have like a step by step that I don't forget what I did, because it's like I have to learn new what to do. I can't remember. I can't remember names. I can't remember a thing. It's just that I don't suffer from it, but it's just a fact. I lived 60 years with it, so I'm not too upset.
Right, you're doing well, huh?
Yeah. No, I feel good. I'm not rich or anything, but I feel very good in the morning. I wake up and be happy.
Okay. Can you talk to us a little bit about neurodiversity?
Yeah, that's it, And if you want my opinion, which I'm not an expert, but I'm an advocate for neurodiversity, I say because 25% of humans have neurodiversity. I mean, that's what systems say, system research. So every fourth person is neurodivergent. And what happens is and they put that all because every neurodivergent is unique. So the system puts it all because the system cannot figure it out. So it puts it all in a category. So you have PTSD because you were in a war. You have ADHD because of whatever. You were traumatized and you have a twitch. All that stuff is going to be piled into neurodiversity. And it is increasing because humans are not neurodiverse. It's like what we talked about, the systemic, calendar link and everything automatic. Humans are not linear. A computer knows 1 and 1 is 2, but the human doesn't think, and all of a sudden it's 2.2. It's not going to work out. So because we're all unique. See, this is what we don't understand. We're all humans, and we are not a system creation, like being a male or female, being of this gender, being of this race, being of this. We are not that. We are humans. And what we have done over time, we have taken these labels, and that's why I don't want to call neurodiversity even a disease or sickness, because humans are not linear. They're just not linear. They are, what do you call that? They're not neurotypical. Neurotypical means that you have so much energy that you can adapt to system requests, and you become linear and binary. You become really either or, win or lose, good or bad, right or wrong. But that's not humanity. That's not how humanity functions and perceives and interacts with each other,
Okay. So can you tell us a little bit about your books?
Oh, the books are all about art, and they're all about, the first book is a script that I wrote while it was Evans and stuff. So I wrote a script. I read so many books. The other ones are how to hang and place art, because when I was an arts commissioner, I saw that people don't, they say, okay, it's systemic, right? They say, oh, we have a 5 foot by 5 foot. We just put a statue there, and it looks like shit. It looks horrible, And they said, why don't you have a pride? And then they don't put lights on. They put a statue there, and I said, half a time this statue, half a day it's in the dark. Why wouldn't you put some halogen lights that don't cost a lot, because it changes at the night and the day to make this statue like. So there's so many things. So I wrote a whole book, because you could look at certain things up, how to hang a triptych or a diptych and stuff, but you can put that into Google. But I put it all in one. So you have one source where you can. So I want to understand how to do art, and so the treasure in this is, not only did I work with one of the best art galleries, and the guy, I talked to him and we have the same opinion. So when you, for example, hang a painting, and most people hang paintings too high, and most people are intimidated by art anyway. So when you hang a thing too high, you're more intimidated. So every painting you hang, you should always hang low enough while you feel you can walk in, or even lower, because then it won't intimidate you and you will enjoy the painting more. The other was about Smart of Art, and I did a German book. Then I did a Smart of Art, which is segregates the making and the, it's making, like Ricky Rubin makes all about the creativity, right? And my book is simpler by separating the making as well as the business. Rick does just talk about the creating, and I'm talking about the creating and the business to get this segregation of human centricity that's worthy and system relevance that is not worthy, really. That's only luck. If you make it and they say, oh, Donna's stuff is great, it's luck. It could be saying Donna's stuff is crazy, or I can't understand it. So whatever we have, that's and that's why Rick also says, focus on your podcast. Don't worry about if people listen to it or not. Make the best podcast you can. That's it.
Right. So how do you feel about what is it, AI, and how artificial intelligence is kind of taking over?
Not about creativity. I have actually just done 2 days ago a podcast about what AI does, and I wrote like 4 or 5 articles about what, and we can add them if you wanted to our episode, about what does AI do for humans? Because you remember, right, when the computers came, I don't know if you're old enough to know when the computers came, but when I remember when the computers came, say, hey, Michael, what are you going to do with all the time the computer's going to give and all the money you can make? And then I look at the statistics, and our output per person is 8 times as much as before computers. Do we have 8 times as much money? Do we have 8 times as much time? No. So we didn't get time nor money. We are all more busy, and we're just like on the phone all the time. So the same is with AI. AI is going to help us do all the system work. But then you see already with the Calendly and all that stuff, you always have to control it. So when I I used all these AI tools, not all, but I used them. The problem is you have to still check them. You don't create the podcast, but you have to check, is that podcast good? So you still have to do. I think it's more fun to create the podcast than have a podcast made by AI that you have to then watch, and the machine did it. There's no satisfaction in it at all. Because I'm not interested in, because when I write something, I put that into Claude 2, and then I have to have so much time to understand what they suggest, and it's grammatically better than what I could do, but I speak in a certain way that isn't perfect. And I heard in that podcast that we had, the guy said he can understand when people shift their email program to AI. He says, I talked to this woman or man forever, and she now just got on AI, and I don't even recognize, she's perfectly written, but I don't believe it's her. I mean, this is the stuff. We are one of one. We have one of 8 billion people with different fingerprints, different eyes, different skin, everything. And we work best together by collaborating, by talking to each other, by using our 6 senses. Not a machine that's reversed engineered what we supposed to be. That you are supposed to be a woman and this race, and I'm supposed to be that race and this man. This is all bullshit. We are humans that have the only thing that's together. We have 6 senses. We communicate, and when you and I paint something or sing, 8 billion people. Show me that system that can do that. When you and I sing something or paint something, 8 billion people understand it with their senses. We don't even need a language, which is a system too. We could just sing, and we have all the stuff that we have by nature. And we say, oh, we need to get the new AI. We need to get the new system. We need to pay them. For what? For not being us? We got to find who we are. That's the joy of life. That you say, I'm one of 8 billion. I'm not like 8 billion. See, this system says, oh, you're like 8 billion, Donna Michael. I'm going to fire you if you don't do what we say. Crazy. You know, we're one of one. Yeah, right.
Right. Yeah, and the AI, you're right. It doesn't do much with arts and creativity and like script writing because it just doesn't have that creativity in it.
The perspection, it doesn't have your perspection, right? So I don't want to hear what I say about, let's say, people, kids and parents. I want to hear what Donna has to say about kids and parents. I want to see what Frank has to say about kids. I want to see what the guy that lives in a desert says about kids and island. I don't want to hear a generalized mixture of billions of people, a gray zone that is perfectly written about kids and parents. That is irrelevant for me. You need the personal. It's like, would you go to would you keep going to a chess game where there's only machines playing chess against each other? Would you go to a symphony orchestra where all machines are playing human instruments? Would you go to a theater? I mean, you would go once to have fun and see what they do, and see also the audience, what the audience says about it, because that's then more. But nobody's interested in this. Would you see like actors that are AI machines? No.
Right. So when do you remember you discovering art?
When I discovered art is through music. I was depressed because I was so bad in school, and I couldn't fit in, and was sick before. I couldn't be an athlete, couldn't do anything. And then I bought a moped, a little moped, and started working on that. And then we had a little, in the backyard, we had a little hut, and I started to make the hut. And everything I did was creative. And it doesn't matter, I'm not saying you have to do art. You can do any creativity, you create something, you're a maker. And because I believe that we are collaborative creator animals of nature. And the reason why we can think better than other animals is because I'm going to go into the forest, cut down 5 trees, and I show Donna what to do with it. And then Donna can show her husband what to do with it. And they can show. So, and we get better. We look and we explain that what we do. And look, what we created: New York, Singapore, Google, Apple, Nike. We created all this stuff. We are collaborative. It's not one person does Nike, one person does. We only know the owners, but it's a everybody. We love to work together and create stuff. And when you see it from that part, the system makes sense, and then it will be good for the system too, because the system cannot force you to just do what one person says. It's a collaboration. So how can we make this really good? I'm listening to your question. I'm not just yapping at you.
Right. So when did you learn, or when did you discover that you were actually good at helping others?
I never, first of all, when I was young, I wanted to save people, but not saving them for saving sakes. I wanted to be worthy. And then I learned that we are worthy by nature. Nature doesn't make mistakes and says, Michael, you are bad, but Donna is great. It says, Donna and Michael, you have a purpose. Whatever that purpose is, figure out. But I'm not going to make you guys that you are not worthy. So everybody is worth one, and you have to find what is your strengths and then contribute with that. And I wanted to be, because I wasn't systemically says you got to do this to be system relevant. And I wasn't. And what I learned from that is I got to be exemplary. The most impact that I have is that I'm not whining. I'm not a victim. I'm not saying, oh my God, I'm not system relevant, but use that. And I was also blessed with the Spirit. See, this is another thing, because people say, oh, you're good, you're bad. No. I know a lot of people that had died, that had what I had, and because they didn't have they weren't blessed with the Spirit. You're blessed with the Spirit, that you don't give up, that you don't take drugs and make yourself crazy. Yeah. that you don't go and shoot people up. You're blessed with that, and you have a feeling for this is good, this is bad. And this is what I learned through art. I learned that also through creating art, not consuming art, because we need to express ourselves to find ourselves. This is one of the big things that I found, is we need to express or do something or be a maker or create a podcast to find ourselves.
Okay. So there was a question about poverty. I was trying to remember how it was actually.
It makes you dumb. It makes you dumb. It dumbs you down.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So talk about that a little bit.
Okay. So when you are in nature, it doesn't mean that everybody has something to eat in nature. Look at the animals. Yeah. But but everybody has enough somehow. And that's why everybody does their job. The elephant does it. The zebra does that. Everybody does the ants that are doing. When you are in a metaverse of systems, which is a company, a government, whatever, and the system forces you that says, you are not, sorry guys, you guys are not system relevant. So you are not supposed to be making money. So if I'm system relevant, because system needs, let's say, train drivers, and all of a sudden there is no train drivers, and I make a ton of money, all of a sudden I'm system relevant. But if I make a ton of money, or a CEO in a company makes a ton of money, other people get less. And poverty, what poverty does is it's saying basically, naturally, you're not good. No, you're not system relevant. So you're not good enough, which is not true, because human nature doesn't make mistakes. And you cannot afford good food. So you get social security and so welfare. And in order to live off that for a month, you have to buy bad food, not natural food, not organic food that is natural. I mean, we're making organic food a thing. No, organic food is just what nature gives you. You don't want to have any chemicals or anything to get cancer or whatever, and you want to eat that food. And the system says, no, you can't, because you're not getting that much money. So what do people do? They eat bad food. Not only are they poor, they get bad food. They have the stress of not having a thing. I was 3 times almost homeless. And my life never looks like news, ever. News is so negative. It never looked, even though I was 3 times homeless, I didn't have a car for 20 years in California. And my life was never as bad as what I see on the news. And everybody looks at news and says, oh my God, look at this, our world. Our world isn't bad. Because if our world was bad, then you and I couldn't talk. Because the world, when I worked for governments and I was a politician, you know what the thing is? No, the staff, everything was working perfectly. But the politicians were freaking out and making noise with the media, because the media and politicians are codependent. They help each other. And they say, the media says, oh, look at all this immigrants or crime and whatever. And then the politician says, oh, let me do that because they tell everybody, and I'm the one that is against crime, that does this, that helps these people. But crime doesn't happen everywhere. And it is the misfortune, the problem that 8 billion people have. So the media always reports of the worst thing, the people that make mistakes, that have is a natural disaster or something. They never talk about, hey, Donna and Michael had a great talk. It didn't work out in the morning, but they make it work. And they had something better to say than all the system leaders like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and all. It was more interesting. See, this is what system relevance, it teaches us, oh, you and I have nothing to say, but only the people that are on top have something to say.
Right. That's so true.
Right.
And they control, the media, they control everything. They control our TV, what we read, so they control our minds.
Yeah, but podcast is changing it because people have media has less and less attention,
Yeah.
and podcasts have more and more attention because people cannot relate. See, the human centricity or humanness with our six senses cannot relate to a system constructed news that only focus on bad stuff and disturbing stuff, and they want to. So you and I have to relate to each other, otherwise we can have a dialogue, and people can listen to us and can also relate, because it's not a one way. I'm coming here and I'm saying, Donna, you got to do this, and this is horrible, and this is binary system talk. I'm talking like a human. I'm not talking differently. I'm not saying, I'm not waking up and saying and talk perfectly. I'm talking like I talk, no matter if you and I talk or I talk with anybody else.
All right. Okay. All right. So if you could go back and talk to your 17-year-old self, what would you tell him about life?
I would tell him about life, what I had to learn till I was 50, that the system relevant is so limited to be system relevant. Even though we for generations says you gotta get the job, you gotta get the university, you gotta get this. No, you should find you are one of 8 billion people, and you're looking different at your life. Look at your family. You are all together and everybody has a different perspective on life. So not only are you 8 billion people unique with the fingerprints and eyes and things, you also have a different perspective. So there is no right, systemic right or wrong. They say this is right or wrong, but we also say, hey, these indigenous people shouldn't be here. I mean, that's a system thing. And we make up history and say, oh, because this is, those were the bad people. No, there were no bad people. They were just human interacting. And they had misunderstandings and they didn't understand that yet. And the system relevance always segregates people, always define or stereotypes people. I mean, look what they do to, and that's what I would tell my 70-year-old. Look at to women and man. Since 1967, women tried to be system relevant. But you should have never asked for that, because in nature, you're a human. You're not a woman. A woman only system defined you first and said, because they used the guys to fight the wars, and they said, oh, woman, just cook, make more babies, and serve those things. And that's so mean, because we also know by systems now that women are better shots than men. See, it's like it's completely a system mistake, and this is why we said it's all about humans. And I would tell my 17 years, everybody's a human. Don't look at their race, sexuality, hierarchy. Doesn't matter if it's a poor person. I just heard that in Stanford, somebody thought there was a bum and he was the richest guy at all. He was just, but he was so conditioned. As a rich people, you have to look like this and you have to act like this, that he didn't understand that this was almost a laureate, I think that he didn't know, because he didn't dress perfectly, systemically. And so he judged that human. That's why I say, never judge a person by its cover. Right. Just a human. And because that human is in your life, it's a part of you. I might never see you again or whatever, but right now, I embrace you, Donna, because you are part of me and I'm a part of you. And
Right.
And we collaborate together to expand our perception, your and my perception.
Right. Okay. All right. So can you tell everyone how they can follow you, keep up with you?
Yeah, just go very simple. MichaellM.com. Michael with two L's, like Michael Jackson. Michael with two L's. MichaellM.com, and there you can. There's my everything. You can my music, my paintings, my books, my interviews, my talks. You can hire me. You can get advice from me, and I'm not teaching, so I'm not telling you this 1, 2, 3. I just think when you listen to what we said, for example, so if you want to listen to us, that's all you need to do. Because once you're aware, you cannot be unaware.
I like that. All right, perfect. So thanks so much, Michael. Again, I apologize for earlier, but I'm so glad that we were able to get it back on because this was a great discussion. I know that the listeners really were able to take heed to everything that you said, and I hope that they did. I hope that they can go ahead to the website michaellm.com, follow you, and keep up with everything that you got going on. And congratulations on everything. That's a lot that you overcame to get to where you are today. So congratulations.
No, we can do this anytime if you want me back. I'm
Okay.
just letting you know. So
All right.
if you have a lot of questions or you get a lot of response on this
Okay.
episode and questions, because I love the harder the questions, the better I am.
Okay. All right. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So thank you all. The Lord says the same. I'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.